Moving on, we're going to blue commons here. We have Armguard Familiar, 1 out of blue, 2-1. Okay, this is one of the new configure things. So if you're not familiar with configure, it comes in as just the creature, and then you can pay for it to have it jump on somebody's back and provide whatever benefit that it says. In this case, +2/+1 in Ward 2. This card seems pretty decent. I don't know if it's good. Reconfigure 4 is a lot. But Ward 2 is a lot, so if your opponent's gonna have to pay a lot to kill whatever you put this on. It's a mana sink. Like, as far as Goblin Pikers go, it's a Ward 2 Goblin Piker that you can have it jump on somebody later. Like a decent 6-drop, maybe? No, I'll put it as a 5. Just because there's so many 2/2s, and there's so many... Like, it's actually pretty decent if you go white-blue, right? If you go white-blue and you have turn 2 Armguard Familiar into turn 3 Golden-Tailed Disciple, suiting that fellow up on turn 4 and attacking, that's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. It is also an artifact. Yeah, it is also an artifact, which is a big plus for it, for sure. Disruption Protocol. As additional cost to cast a spell, tap an untapped artifact you control. Or pay 1. So it's baseline cancel, but it could just be better. Strictly better. Okay. This card's probably pretty good. You can tap equipment. Equipment generally doesn't get tapped through normal operations. So this will probably cost blue. Yeah, you're right. Just improvise 1. Yeah, it has improvise. A little bit better than improvise, right? But yeah, it's strictly better than cancel, which is 1 blue counter a spell. This card's pretty good. Unlike cancel, cancel is normally like a 5. I think this actually might be a 6. Or maybe even it's a 7. I feel like it's gonna be pretty easy for this to just cost 2. I think this will trade up. Yeah, good flavor text, good artwork. Good stuff. 4 mana, 6/6, crew 3. Okay. Okay. This is probably much more of a draft card because it's so insane if you have Born to Drive, right? It's so insane if you have this. You can't crew 3 with white common. You might not be able to, huh? Oh, they have the 7. They have this and the Sunblade Mentor, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. They have like white is mostly 2/2s. Yeah. This card seems like it could be okay. Yeah. But again, you don't really want to have more than 2 or 3 vehicles in your deck. Probably 2. But I can see this just bricking the board because your opponent can't kill it with Sorcerer Speed removal. I can see it bricking the board. Guardians of Oboro, 3 mana, 3/4 defender. Modify creatures you control can attack as though they didn't have a defender. Okay. Okay. Overstated blue body with downside. And it's a samurai, you're right. Yeah, this could have just been a white card. White could have really used this card. Yeah, white could have really used this card. That's too bad. It's a designated driver, as it crews vehicles so well. That's too bad. I think you're gonna play this almost every time. It's such a good blocker. No, there's other defenders in this set. So this is a pretty hyped card. 7 mana, 5/7 Ward 3, and then the backside is the Stifle / mana leak, right? This card seems quite good. I think you're always gonna play this. It would be so backbreaking if you stifled your opponent's like Sunbait Samurai activation. So keep in mind, for those of you who are gonna be playing sealed. For those of you who are gonna be playing sealed in this format, this is not a joke. I'm glad they got rid of Evolving Wilds. Main phase your Sunblade Samurai. Just do it. Not joking. Not only do you get F6 value, but you don't let your opponent like play their 3rd land and stifle your plane cycle and you just lose the game. Right? Well, it's going to be really hard to stop sagas because sagas happen main phase 1 and they have all untapped mana, right? So how are they not going to be able to pay 3? Right. So main phase, you're plane cycling. Just do it. F6 value. So you can like stifle ninjutsu and they don't put the ninja into play and the creature still goes to their hand. It's not good. But it could be done, I guess. Ooh, love it. Sacrifice Mnemonic Sphere, draw 2 cards. So it's Curious Capsule, but in case you ain't got time for that. In case you ain't got time for it, you can just cycle it. It doesn't even tap, you're right. Yeah, this card's great. It's also an artifact. Why does... Yeah, it's just Hieroglyphic Illumination. Right. Why does blue just get to do this? Why? Blue just gets to do things like this. Why? They can't just keep getting away with it. 1 in a blue, ninjutsu 1. Whenever you do common damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Wait, what? What? Remember when I was so excited? I was so excited for Spirited Companion. And then we just get a blue enchantment ninja. That's also a looter that also cantrips. Oh. What? What? It's also just an amazing 2-drop. It's also just an amazing 2-drop. What is this? Maybe mnemonics... But the thing is that you can just cycle this. It's like, this card just can't be bad. If you ain't got time, then it's like, okay, bye, see you later. Alright. 2 in a blue, artifact creature flying. Whenever it becomes tapped, scry 1. Okay, yeah, this seems great too. What? What? This is so frustrating. This could have been a white card. Yeah. This totally could have just been a white card. This would have been great in white. White needs this. It's frustrating. It's everything you want to be. This card just does everything you want to be doing. Yeah. You can, by the way, you can crew with this to get the scry 1, right? So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you can overcrew, right? The rules of crewing is everybody can fit in the ride. Like if you have 5 Moonfolk Puzzle Makers in play, and all you have is 1 vehicle that has crew 3, you can just stuff them all into the vehicle. Like everybody's in for the ride. It's 3 or more, not 3. You can't undercrew, but you can overcrew. There's always room in the trunk. Yeah, you can crew just end a turn, end your opponent's turn. Tap an untapped artifact you control. Add what? Wait, what? It's an unkillable blue Lawnmower Elf. That doesn't work on turn 2. Okay. Huh. So this is like Springleaf Drum. Okay. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Oh, it has Lost in Thought on... Wait, it has Lost in Thought? Wait. Not Lost in Thought. Totally Lost. This is just Totally Lost? Oh, no, this is mandatory put on top. What's the one that they choose? There's one that they choose, right? It's top or bottom, so it is worse. But it's also an artifact. This seems like it could be good. Revenge of the Drowned? Okay, yeah, it's Revenge of the Drowned. Well, Revenge of the Drowned was like an 8 out of 10 common, right? Because of the 2/2 zombie. This is not as good as that. I think playing this is not embarrassing. It's also uncounterable? Instant? This card is not embarrassing. It hits non-lands. You can like get rid of an arrest, instant speed. This card is not embarrassing. I think this card's playable. Ninjutsu, Mana War, and is bound to return up to 1 target creature. Oh, great. You know how they really screwed up? You know they really screwed up? Because the last Mana War they printed, they said enemy creature. And this one doesn't. As if you needed more reasons for this card to be terrible. This card is so bad. To be clear, if you're not familiar, you can ninjutsu after damage has been dealt. So the way Magic combat works is there's beginning of combat, there's declare attackers, there's declare blockers, there's combat damage, and then there's a secret step that nobody really uses. But there's an end of combat step. Before main phase 2, and you're still in the attack step, where a creature is still considered attacking and unblocked after damage has been dealt. And that is something that is really good to use if you think your opponent has a removal spell, or you just want, like, imagine you're attacking with like a 4/4 and you want to deal 4 damage, but you also want to mana war something. You can attack for 4, and then after you deal 4, you can ninjutsu. So, yeah. And what I really don't like about this card is if you have 2 of them, you can just machine gun your opponent's board out, which I think is really stupid. So you can do it with itself. Well, that doesn't really work. 1 doesn't do anything. Like, if you have 9 mana and an unblocked creature and 2 of these in your hand, you can bounce 3 of your opponent's creatures and still have another one in your hand for next turn. So look forward to that. This card's really good. And there's auras in the set too. There's no reason why this shouldn't be enemy creatures only. There's just no reason for it. It should the last Mana War they printed was enemy creatures only. As if white had it bad enough when it has so many pacifisms. Now you just get owned because everybody's gonna have this card in their deck. It's a common, and it's blue. When there's a battlefield, tap target permanent. Whatever. It's an artifact. It's a ninjutsu enabler. If you need to enable the ninjutsu, I'm not sure there's not something better than this. I think it's just... I guess it enables a ninjutsu on both sides, right? Because if they have a giant blocker, you can tap it. So enables... Maybe it's a 5, just because it enables it on both sides. Like, it's a flying unblocked, and then after you ninjutsu this back into your hand, it lets you ninja get through next turn. Exile target artifact or creature, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a counter on it. This could have just been a white card. In fact, it is a white card they printed in the past. This is literally a white effect. I don't understand it. Why does blue just get to have all the good white cards? That being said, I don't think you play this very often. There was a pirate one that drew a card that you didn't play very often. What was it called? Siren something? Oh, it was, they also printed Teferi's Time Twist, you're right. That's probably a closer comparison to Teferi's Time Twist. This returned it to its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. But this can hit vehicles. Because it always puts a counter on it. But even Teferi's Time Twist you didn't play very often. It was good if your opponent had a bunch of arrests in their deck. I think it's mostly a sideboard card. Like, flickering your creature to block is just not a thing that happens. You know, it is not a thing that happens at all. But this is just showing that there's a ton of... there's a ton of ways to punish people from trying to cast instants on your turn. Not only are there ninjas, there's planar incision, there's Lithe Away, which returns it to your hand, right? So basically, If you have an instant speed removal spell, you better have a really good reason to not be using it during your main phase when they're tapped out. And plus there's counterspell. They just like printed counterspells. Basically, removal in this set is sorcery speed. Alright. 4 mana, discard Cyber Trespassers. Tap out 2 target creatures you don't control. Those creatures don't untap. Well, the card seems fine. It's just Blinding Beam, but it could also be a 3/5 creature? Sure. This card could also just be white. Yeah. Frost Breath? Yeah. I mean, the original card that had that effect was white. Blinding Beam was the OG. Not only was Blinding Beam the OG, but it was completely insane. Because not only did the 2 creatures you tap not untap, but all the other ones also didn't untap. Blinding Beam was insane. And now blue has just taken control of everything. White doesn't get to have anything, blue just takes it all. Flash, enchant artifact or creature. It loses flying. That's nice. That was always one of the problems with slime binds in the past, is that it was really bad on enemy flyers, because your way to win in blue decks was often a flyer. That being said, you're probably going to play this like probably less than half the time, because the problem with this card is your opponent can attack and then ninjutsu it. Right? So. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, discard... Wait, you just get to have... Why is the baseline Phantom Monster? Why is the baseline 4 mana 3/3 flyers? Why do we just get to do that? To be clear, let me show you the OG. The OG, here's the OG. 3 in a blue 3/3 flyer. This is the baseline. Phantom Monster, if it was printed at common, would be good. But we just get to have 2/2 that also just gets to loot 1 to 5 times a game. Cool. Spell Pierce, don't play it. I'll put it as a 1. Don't play it. A lot of your artifacts are cards you want to discard. What are you talking about? There's a ton of artifact creatures. What are you talking about? There's a lot of artifact creatures. The things you want to discard are lands, right? We can make it a 7. If it makes you happy, you make it a 7. I think it's an 8. But until a turn, target creature or vehicle becomes an artifact creature with pace, power, and toughness 4 or 5. Draw a card. Well, I love Befuddle. But I don't know if this is better than Befuddle, because the thing with Befuddle is it doesn't get owned. Like, Befuddle, you target your opponent's creature, and a removal spell doesn't own you, right? Whereas this one, you target your creature, and if they kill in response, then you just get owned. So I don't think it's as good as Befuddle. It's probably fine. This makes Getting's Reproach even worse. No joke. We're talking about this thing. Poor white. Poor white. Well, you don't dodge removal with this, right? Because the creature, it says the vehicle becomes an artifact creature. You don't dodge removal with it. But yeah, it's a card you can play. If you don't play it, it's fine. It's a dangerous card to be relying on to get anything done. Tamiya's Completion. Flash. Enchant artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Enters a battlefield, tap enchanted permanent. If it's an equipment, untouch it. Wow. Okay. Loses all abilities and doesn't untap. Okay, so you remember what I was talking about earlier on what a good white removal spell looks like? How it phases the card out. It phases the card out, and when it comes back, it's tapped. Welcome to what this card is. That's what this card is. This could just be a white card. But it's not. It's blue. Alright. The baseline for Terminates is just 8. This seems just like hits anything, right? Artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Yeah, it doesn't hit enchantments, I guess. But poor white. As this log enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. So it's 2 mana, draw 2, discard 2. And then return it, and then exile and return it. Okay. 2/3 flyer. Sure. Finally, blue gets some looting. It's really good with ninjutsu, right? Because you get to do you probably got to play ninjutsu and play this on the same turn. All right, cool. Love the artwork. Cool. Good defensive 2-drop. It's a 2/3. It's gonna come in on turn 4. Well then, this is not scientific, but 114 some uncommons, and then white is 93. And blue even has Spell Pierce, gumming stuff up. Poor white. But yeah, blue looks really good for sealed as usual. Has a lot of value. Has some Punisher type cards if you get a slow start. If you're on the play with blue and you have this thing on turn 2, it's pretty good. And this Futurist Sentinel seems like a pretty dangerous card to have. This is the type of card that can just dominate sealed. Can make it so like your opponent can't attack on the ground. It's just moat. Like blue might just have a common moat. It's really hard for your opponent to attack on the ground when you have this in play. Yeah. A lot of flyers in blue, a lot of value. Looks good. Want to issue a little bit of a correction. Apparently, this has been printed before, is Iron Tread Crusher. And Crusher was like only okay back in the day. It was fine. But I think Futurist Sentinel is gonna be better in this format than Iron Tread Crusher was in theirs because of the pilots. And there's stuff like Suit Up. They can crew it and draw a card, right? But I'll put it down. I'll put it down as a 5. I don't think you're gonna play it every time. But the times you do play it, it's gonna be good. Maybe it might be better as a 4. But we'll see. Yeah, but in Kaladesh, the thing is, it was competing with the freighter, right? So, like, freighter was so insane that it made other vehicles pale in comparison. Whenever acquisition, octopus, or equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. This is your typical 2/2 draw card. I don't know if it's Stealer Secrets. I mean, that's what it is. Obviously, being able to reconfigure is worth something. You can put it on a flyer pretty easily, right? It's also an octopus if you're into that sort of thing. I'm not sure Acquisition Octopus. I don't think this card is even better than the enchantment. I don't think it's better than this. Seems like it's not even as good as that. Yeah. Being an octopus is automatically an 8. That's fair. I'll put this as a 5 just because 5 mana is a lot to play for a curiosity, you're right. I don't think it's better than the ninja anyways, so. As additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature, search your library for an equipment or vehicle card, put the card on the battlefield. No. No, thank you. Alright. Awakened Awareness. Enchant artifact or creature. When it enters the battlefield, put X +1/+1 counters on enchanted permanent. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it has base power and toughness. 1/1. So, what is it? Frogify? Yeah, so it's just a 2 mana, it's Frogify, right? Which was not good. But you can also, for 8 mana, like make your creature 7/7? Oh, it doesn't remove abilities. You're right. It's a split card. Yeah. Seems the base power toughness seems weak. The aura side seems okay. If you don't play this card, I wouldn't blame you. It's a little bit tough to... You can enchant a vehicle for 4 mana. How does it work with crewing? Like if I enchant this thing, can I crew 3 to make it a 6/6? I don't think so, right? I don't think that's how it works. That's not how it works. You know the pacifism? I think it's like a deadweight. It's like, isn't it not as good as deadweight at 2 mana? I don't know. Well, Frogify removed abilities. This doesn't remove abilities. It's also blue. It does a lot of things. I'm not sure you want either. It's probably a 5. Like, I think enchanting your opponent's, like, big like enchanting your opponent's Futurist Sentinel may be good, right? Turning their 6/6 into a 1/1, maybe that's good. I don't think it is. I'm willing to lean towards not playing it. You're also giving your opponent a modified creature, or no, I guess yeah, you are giving your opponent a modified creature with that. Oh, you know that's something I didn't even consider. Oh my goodness, I didn't even think about that. You're giving your opponent a modified creature. Oh no. Wait, is modified your auras only? Is it? What does Hot Tub Fellows say? Oh, you're right. It's equipment auras you control. All right, that's fair. You got me. The monkey has spoken. All right. Behold the unspeakable. Creatures you don't control get -2/0. Okay. I'm off it. If you have one or fewer cards in hand, draw 4. Wait, what? If you have one or fewer cards in hand, draw 4 cards. Otherwise, scry 2, then draw 2. Alright. Exile the saga, then return to the battlefield transformed. Okay. +1/+1 for each card in your hand. Love the artwork. You're gonna play this on turn 5 when you have 3 cards in your hand. I think the way Behold the first part of this saga works is that it actually hits vehicles. Well, not only can your opponent not crew a vehicle, but even if they have a vehicle or they play a creature with haste, it'll still get -2/0. So that could be okay. And then, yeah, it's like you get a card that's worth like 3.5 mana on Saga 2. So part 1 is worth like 1.5 mana. Part 2 is worth like 2.5 mana. Or 3.5 mana. So that's like 5 mana value right there. And then you're gonna get like a 4/4 flying trample or a 5/5 flying trample. But it turns into a 2/2 flying trample or a 3/3 flying trample eventually. Which is fine. Just a Mole Drifter. Just a Mole Drifter that's harder to flicker. There is no decent control finisher in Sealed. It's whatever you open, right? The fact that it stops vehicles and stops like haste creatures too is probably good enough. But if you don't draw the cards immediately, it doesn't matter because you're tapped out when you play this, and you're gonna draw the cards in your next main phase. So who cares, right? But it does give your opponent a small window to disenchant this, so you don't draw all the cards. Yeah, you could flicker it with Planar Incision. That'd be pretty good. It does not stop haste. I think it does. Maybe it doesn't. I thought they ruled it does not stop haste. They ruled okay, got it. So their haste creature wouldn't get -2/0. All right. It doesn't have haste when transformed, no. So it doesn't hit haste creatures. Okay. But it basically hits vehicles, but they're not going to be able to crew it. I guess they're going to be able to crew a vehicle with whatever they play the next turn. This may be tough to play on turn 5, but it's really good on turn 7. Because on turn 7, you can probably draw 4 cards. But this is a pretty bad 5-drop. Well, I mean, it affects vehicles in the sense that your opponent's creatures have no power. So they're not going to be able to crew anyways, right? If they have a 6/6 vehicle, it'll be a 6/6 if they activate it on their turn, but they're not going to be able to crew because they don't have any power. And, yeah. I don't know, it seems okay. It seems okay. It seems good enough. Pilots will get around the -2. I don't know how pilot works at -1 power. Does it count as a 1 or a 2? A -1 power. The pilot creatures are 1/1s, right? Yeah, I don't know the rules on these 1/1s. Whether it counts as 0 or -1 when it comes to crewing. Oh, you're right. You have to play it on an empty hand because you draw one for your turn. You can play an instant on your draw step, but you're right. Maybe this card's not very good. You're probably right. You're probably right. It's probably not as good as this is probably a 7. It's probably not as good as the Phantom Monster, right? The Koi. It's probably not as good as that. Maybe it is. If you just play it on an empty board, it's pretty good, right? But how are they going to have an empty board on turn 5? Maybe it's better than that. Maybe it's an 8. I'm willing to be wrong. Oh, it doesn't work against ninjas. That's pretty bad. That it doesn't work against ninjas. That's tough. It's probably closer to a 6 than an 8. Yeah, I guess if you have any flickers in your deck, that it just becomes insane, right? You just draw your whole deck at that point. What does work against ninjas? Just having a 4-mana 3/3 flyer, so they can't attack. 3 mana, 2/4, 1. Oh, well, I already love the stat line. 3 mana, 2/4, ninjutsu 2. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may put an artifact card with mana value less than or equal to that damage from your hand. Okay, so it's just a 3 mana, 2/4. Okay. Sure. So 3 mana, 2/4. I love 3 mana, 2/4s. It's trinket text, but it is a 3 mana, 2/4. That's a good stat line. Maybe it's a 6. Oh, it puts the capsule into play. That is pretty strong. That is pretty strong. Are you ever not going to play this if you're playing blue? I think you're always going to play this. The stat line is just way too strong. 6 stat points for a blue card is just way too good. I love 3 mana 1/4s. And this is a 3 mana 2/4. Look at the top 5 cards in your library. Exile one of them face down and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost if it's an instant spell with mana value 2 or less. If you don't, put that card into your hand. Okay. It's just an impulse. You just never play this card? This feels like a card you never play. It has to be exactly an instant with mana value 2 or less. Otherwise, it's just impulse. 5 cost. 3 cost impulse for 5. What is the joke? Wait, what? Yeah, I guess you can impulse for the counterspell. But why is this an uncommon? What am I missing? I don't. What is the dream? I don't understand what the dream is with this card. Oh, wow. They reprinted this? Okay. Blue seems like the 9 island deck. There's a ton of double blue cards. There's a lot of double blue cards. We got the crab, we got the counterspell, we got the behold the unspeakable, we got this essence capture. Blue really wants to be your primary color. And it has ninjas, so you want to be on the table first. Whenever it's tapped, create a... Oh, no. As long as this is tapped, it's a human citizen with base power, toughness 1/1, and it cannot be blocked. Pay 3 mana, untap it. So it's a 4 mana 1/1 unblockable if you attack, but you can declare it as an attacker and then pay 3 mana to untap it before damage. And now you're you attack for 3 unblockable. That's a cool card. It's also an onboard trick, which is kind of weird. Surprised they do those. You're probably always going to play this. The stat line is just stat line is just too good. And ends the game as well. Oh, the Futurist operative can crew any number of vehicles. Huh. That's weird. It basically gives your vehicles crew 3 mana. Yeah, why does blue... I thought the joke with blue is that they have -1 stat point across the board. And they just don't get to do that in this deck. They just get to have all the stats and the abilities. Sure. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1. When you do, target player mills X card where X is the number of shrines you control. 2 mana 0/4. It's not a defender? It's not a defender? They couldn't have just made it a defender? Alright. It's a mill card. It's a self-mill card. If you have this thing as a win condition, the Brilliant Restoration. This card seems really good. It pays rent, but it doesn't win the game. I'll put it as a 7. It's really good. I think you always play it. It's like a doorkeeper that can randomly attack for ninjutsu. You feel like you rarely pay the 1? I think you always pay the 1. Why wouldn't you? If you can. I mean, not unless you can not afford it. When it becomes crewed and up to one other target vehicle, you're not going to have 2 vehicles. This seems pretty bad. Crew 3. This seems really bad. You're paying 3 crew for 3 power. You're not getting anything out of it. Alright. That's a yikes. Prosperous Thief. 3 mana 3/2 ninjutsu. Whenever one or more ninja or rogue creatures you control. Oh, so it's a lord. Whenever one or more ninja or rogue creatures you control do combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Alright. Is the fish a treasure? We can just we can use this fish for goods and services? Apparently. It's a koi, it's worth like $1,000? Or is it a goldfish? I have no idea. It seems like merely okay. I don't think it's as is it even as good as the octopus? I guess being a 3/2 is better? I don't know. It is a lord, I guess. This seems fine. As far as 3 mana 3/2s go. The problem is there's just so many 2 mana 2/2s in the set that 3/2s don't have a lot of value to me. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is an artifact for artifact stuff, but if you don't play it, I don't think it matters. It might actually just be a 4. If it wasn't a lord, I wouldn't even consider it. But it might mana fix you for your 3rd color. It costs 1 less for each artifact you control. You can do the Thoughtcast thing with these treasure tokens, right? If you have 3 islands and 2 treasure tokens, you can cast this. Because you first announce the spell and then you pay costs. So that's really weird. Treasures double count for this. If you're trying to cast it. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 artifact cards from among them. Wait, you're not in... Okay, well, you're not playing this card, so... It's a constructed card. But you're not playing that one. Whenever a non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 on the blue. If you do, create a token that's a copy. It's also just a 5 mana 3/4 flyer. Okay. You can copy some artifact creatures, maybe? It reminds me, there was a card that was like this. They printed this before. It was like a 2/2 or something, right? I feel like it was like a 5 mana 2/2. Yeah, there we go. Oh no, it only made a copy of itself. Yeah, this feels like more of a rare. This feels like a rare to me. What if you copy... what if you untap and copy... Well, not this one. Well, this one. But... Not that one. Copying that one's kind of good. But, no, this fellow... Untap, copy this one. How do you lose? You probably just don't. It's gonna be hard for you. It's gonna be hard for you to imagine if you copy an artifact creature how you lose with this card. It's gonna be really hard for me to imagine you losing. Oh, you just get to have TFK? Sure. You don't get to have divination, but you just get to have TFK and stay instead. Sure. All right. The baseline for divination type effects and sealed is typically innate. I think a super 2 for 1 here. Although, I mean, if you don't have an artifact to discard, maybe it's bad, but still feel like it's probably good enough. Maybe it's a 7. Maybe the artifacts you want to discard are cards you want to play. That's really good. You're always going to play it anyways. Return up to 1 target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. So it's unsummon? Sure. 4 mana unsummon. Return an artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. If you can't, draw a card. Okay, so it's repulse. Although I guess it's mandatory return an artifact if you don't can draw a card. Okay. So it's repulse and phantom monster. Alright. I feel like it kind of hits the same note. It's just this card. Except it draws a card and is also a 3/3 flyer. Alright. It reminds me of... So if you're not familiar, this was one of the highest win rate cards in Strixhaven. Was multiple choice. Multiple choice is one of the highest win rate cards. This is not as good as multiple choice, but it's still really good. Well, it also costs less as Kitakami. It costs 4 instead of 5. And Kitakami, in this set, you do not need things to get you your third land. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been like a ton of cards in the set that get you your third land. Just a ton of them. In every color. Sure. Oh, and untaps it. The only problem with this one is getting quad blue is actually really hard. This requires you to have like an 18 land deck, like 10 islands, 8 mountains or something. I mean, you still play it. If it was triple blue, it would be a 9. The fact that it's quad blue makes me think it's more of a 7. Quad blue is really hard to do. Quad white is really easy to do because of Sunblade Samurai. I don't know, but quad blue might be too hard. I'll put it as an 8. It's probably closer to a 9, but... Yeah, Volition range. You're right. You're right. Volition range would actually be better than that card, right? Because Volition range was an enchant permanent, and it gave you a modified creature. And it also is triple blue instead of quad blue. Like, Volition range is way better than this card. Yeah, Volition range would be like an insane reprint for them to do. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. No. Wow, these cards are bad. I think they completely missed the mark on this. On these cards. It's a falter, I guess. You like this one? Like, you make it so your opponent's like 3 creatures can't attack and you attack into them? Falter or Fog in both? Isn't this worse than Frost Breath? By a lot? I don't know. This does not seem good to me. I don't know if you've seen the green one. But the green one is... I'm just going to show it to you now just because I want you to realize how badly they missed the mark on all these cards. Alright, so you can exile green cards. It says, choose target creature with mana value less than X. First of all, it's less than X. Not equal to, less than. So if you pay 3 mana, you can only target a 2-drop. Search a library for a creature card with the same name as that creature and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So it has to be the same name and it targets a creature. So if they kill in response, you get nothing. This card is so heinous. They just completely missed the mark on this cycle. I don't know what they were thinking. Alright, Mindlink Mech. Flying. Whenever Mindlink Mech becomes created for the first time each turn, until end of turn, it becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature that it created this turn, except it's a 4/3. Okay. I guess you can, like, make this is like a ninja, I guess? Alright. So you can, like, use a ninja to create this and it turns into a ninja? Alright, sure. This card's good. Yeah. This card's real good. Oh, you can make it a lifelink guy, too, yeah. Yeah, this card's really good. Oh, yeah, this card's really good. Yeah, copying a ninja or copying a lifelinker seems amazing, right? Yeah, accrue 1 is trivial. Now, you can't accrue it and then attack and then turn into something different. Because it loses the ability, right? You can stack it by crewing things twice. No, it says for the first time each turn, so you can't. You can only do it once anyway. Oh yeah, you can crew it with the 1/4 to scry 2. Scry 1 twice rather. How about as a 7? At the end of the day, it is just a dirtle creature. But it has good stat line, good ability. Whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, draw a card. Alright. Non-creature? Okay. A white ability. Return a land you control to its owner's hand. Return target artifact or enchantment card with mana value extra less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you get to draw a card by doing that ability. Okay. You get to, like, return a saga? Yeah, my late mech is really good. Maybe it's an 8. You're probably right. Closer to the train. It's hard to grok this card. Backdooring a white is trivial. There's multiple ways to do that in this set. Like, even if you're not playing any planes in your deck, you can probably backdoor the ability. It says whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, does that count Gravediggers? Like, if I return an enchantment from my graveyard to my hand, does that trigger this? It looks like it does. It doesn't say from play. Oh, it triggers on enemy stuff too if they do that? The card seems really good. It's also a 2/3 for 3, so it's a card you just run out there. It's a good defender. Sure. Pays rent every turn. Either with like its hate ability or it returns lands, right? 2 mana 0/4. Also not a defender. Equipment Jellyfish. As long as it's attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. So it's Future Sight? Okay. It would be terrible with Reconfigure? Why? It doesn't say the equipped creature gets Defender. Alright, this is like a 9? It's either a 9 or a 10? Alright. There is no Defender? There's lots of Defender in the set. What are you talking about? I've already seen 2. There's Guardians of Oboro. And there's the White Enchantment. The Fall of Konda. This is a Defender. What are you talking about? There's no Defenders in this set. You're full of crap. Well, having Future Sight in turn 3 is not really a dream, because you can't cast anything or do anything. You can't even play a land. But even as a 2 mana 0/4, it's just a really good blocker. It's also a legend. You can make it your commander. If that was your thing, if you were jellyfish inclined. Yeah, I mean, this is probably a 10. You're probably right. You don't even need 2 blue. Because having 2 blue doesn't even really help, right? Because you just like play this and the next turn you just reconfigure and then it's online. I think it's probably just a 10. I think you're probably right. It's so cheap. The opportunity cost is so low. And it's such a good blocker. Yeah, Future Sight was triple blue. If you're wondering what Future Sight is, I'll look it up for you. Future Sight was triple blue. Triple blue, 10 out of 10 card. Do I want to block with it? It's an artifact. If it dies, I'll just get it back. Thousand-Faced Shadow. 1 mana, 1/1. Ninjutsu 4. Flying. Whenever it enters the battlefield from your hand, if it's attacking, create a token that's a copy of another attacking creature. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. Alright, so I attack with 2 creatures. They block 1. I ninjutsu the one they don't block. I make a copy of the creature that was blocked. That's also hitting them. So if I attack with a pair of 3/3s, they block with a 3/3. I ninjutsu to 3/3. I get a 1/1 flyer and a 3/3 attacking them, and I have a 3/3 in my hand. It's not as good as it sounds. It's not as good as it sounds. But the joke is that you can then, because this is a flyer, you can ninjutsu this back to your hand. And then you can keep the ball rolling, right? Okay. It seems really busted with the Mana War, that's for sure. It seems good. And it's actually just a card you should play on turn 1. You just do it, right? Yeah, it enables ninjas, but it's just a 1/1 flyer as well. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets. 7 mana 5/5, alright. Jinkataxias is back. Whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell... Wait, what? Counter it? Wait. Alright. Sure. And by the way, guess Even from jail, he still works. Alright, sure. We found a 10. Maybe Reality Chip is just a 9 compared to Jinkataxius. Maybe put Reality Chip as a 9. I don't know. Reality Chip is really good. But the one that was in the past, what was it? The one green. The one in green card that was in previous set that was really good was just a 9 out of 10. Augur of Autumn. Like, Augur of Autumn is way better than the chip. And it wasn't a 10, right? Alright, the Reality Chip is just a 9. Augur of Autumn was insane. And it was not a 10 out of 10. It was good. But maybe just the fact that it's an 0-4 instead of a 2-3 makes Reality Chip enough of a 10. It's close either way. Your opponent cannot win with this card in play. And it has a massive effect on the game. Maybe it is just a 10. I'm willing to be wrong on it. Kyrie the Swirling Sky. When it dies, choose one. Return any number of target non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less. So when it dies, unsummon. And then mill 6 cards and return up to 2 instant or sorcery cards from your graveyard. Or just like draw 2 when it dies. Flying Ward 3. It's whatever. It's obviously a good card. You're always gonna play it if you're blue. I think the chip is better than this. I agree. Oh, you think the chip is better than Jinkataxius? Really? Maybe it is. Costing 7 is a lot. Maybe it is. I mean, do you think Jinkataxius is better than Kyrie? Maybe it isn't. Maybe a 6/6 Flying Ward 3 is just better than a 7-cost 5/5 with no abilities the turn you play it. I guess it protects itself. I mean, this basically has Ward 3, right? But your opponent has to play a spell to get past the counter spell anyways. Yeah, the thing with Reality Chip is that there's just no opportunity cost. I agree. At least these 6 or 7 drops, there's opportunity cost. There's like no opportunity cost with this Reality Chip. And it pays you every turn as just an 0-4, just chilling in play, preventing your opponent from attacking. Tezzeret, Betrayer, Flesh, 4 mana, 4 loyalty. The first activated ability of an artifact you activate each turn costs 2 less to activate. Whatever. Reconfigure. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you just... So, it's like a mini Thirst for Knowledge. Whatever. Draw 2, discard 2. Target artifact becomes an artifact creature. If it isn't a vehicle, it has base power on top of it, so it's permanent. Yeah, I mean, the card is fine. It's probably going to be a draw 2, discard 2, make a 4/4 die. Like, it'll come into play as 5 loyalty, your opponent will like hit it for 3, and you'll make a 4/4. Like a Mole Drifter, 4 mana Mole Drifter. They don't have a way to kill it, then you just win. Pretty good. I mean, Jinkataxius, it can be like unsummoned with Gold Unsummon, I guess. I don't know. This thing, the Sky Turtle. White has a couple of ways to kill it, right? White has the Fall of Konda. And it has the Touch the Spirit Realm. But not too many. I mean, but you're not really afraid of white cards if you're playing blue. Wow, blue has a lot of really good cards. It has some ones, but has a lot of really good cards. I think you just need to pair it with a color that can utilize things cheaply. Overall, blue is really good. Wouldn't be surprised if blue is the best color in this set. I typically overrate blue cards a lot just because in sealed, games are typically very slow, and from what I've seen, there's a ton of defensive cards, so game's gonna go really long, and if you have a bunch of cards drawing counter spells and creatures with high toughness, it's gonna be really hard for your opponent to kill you before you draw your bombs and win the game. So blue looks really good. And ninjas are fun to play. Yeah, blue kind of missed on a lot of uncommons. You're totally right. Blue doesn't have very many good blue uncommons. But the rares and the commons are all really good.